On the Fox News show Outnumbered, they spoke about the Iran deal, which in all likelihood is going to pass, and Andrea Tantaros made an ass of herself.
Politically speaking, if Democrats don't get in step with the president, there's no cover for them.
There's no cover, and you wonder what the president did to get them to come along to his side.
Well, what do you think he did?
Over the weekend, put political pressure on these members, especially House members that need to run for re-election every 2 years. The party controls the purse strings, and the last thing you want are Democratic campaign committees to say that we're not going to support you or cut off funding in a race. I mean, for Debbie Wasserman Schultz, she wants to secure her position as DNC chairman. The fact that somebody who is Jewish came out in favor of this deal is shameful and abominable. It's really disgusting, and they should all own it. And Republicans need to make them own these votes. All of these senators, there's a list out on Twitter, they should hang this vote around their neck like a millstone.
No, that's a poor phrase and poor terminology to use there. What are you, hang something around their neck? Oh. You know what's really shameful and abominable and disgusting? To take her own words from her here, it's your deep, profound ignorance of what's in the Iran deal. This is what passes for analysis on Fox News? A bunch of idiots sitting around talking about a deal they clearly have not read. And then, have you noticed the recent trick that the right has been using often now? What they do is, they talk about the deal. So instead of just talking about the deal, they talk about the talk about the deal. Now, why do they do that? They do that because they don't actually know anything about the provisions of the deal. They don't know what the deal accomplishes. They don't know what's in it. None of them read it. So instead of talking about, hey, you know, provision 16C, I'm not so sure about that because of reasons X, Y, and Z, they don't do that because they can't do that because they didn't fucking read it. So what they do is they say, you know, the strategy the Democrats use is they're trying to get votes because they're going to use the purse strings of the Democratic Party with the money for the next election and blah, 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 blah. It's all a dodge. It's all a scam. It's all a show. And this is very similar to what Cheney did the other day. When Chris Wallace asked him a tough question, you know, why are you opposed to the Iran deal? You know, explain to me why you think this is such a bad thing. Cheney's like, well, you know, Chris, I think it's a bad thing because it'll destabilize the region, and I don't think it's a good deal. And Chris Wallace's like, yeah, no, I know. That's what I said. I'm asking you to give me reasons why that's your position. And Cheney couldn't do it. He just kept restating what his position was. Guys, people only do that when they don't have real reasons. You know? It's something that I guess I'm just noticing it more now, but they've probably been doing this for a really long time. I would love it if just one person on that panel would ask Andrea Tantaros, give me one specific provision you're opposed to and why. She wouldn't be able to answer it. Did you guys know it's in the first 3 pages where a provision states that Iran is reaffirming they will not get a nuke now, and they will never try to get a nuke. Now, this is where people say, well, I don't believe them. Okay, it's fine. You don't have to believe them. The deal is based on verification, not trust. The IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, gets to do routine checks on the different facilities they have. So there's no reason to deny the deal unless, of course, you just want war. Now, oftentimes another thing we hear people say is, well, you know, they should have 0 nuclear facilities, period. Now, why is that absurd? That's absurd because the underlying assumption is if they have any nuclear facilities, they're clearly going to use it to make a weapon, when the reality is, you know, there are nuclear facilities where you create power for your power grid for your people, which Iran does, where you do research with it, like Iran does, and they're allowed under international law to have nuclear power for that reason. But the far right in the U.S. says, no, we don't even want them to have that. Even if it's clearly and explicitly not for weapons, we're still going to say no nuclear power for you because we're ridiculous human beings who don't know what a compromise is and who aren't intelligent, and we are the warmongers and we want to fight. So it's just absurd. And remember, man, every time, oh my God, they're going to attack Israel or they're going to attack the U.S. Does this sound familiar to you? It should sound exactly like the war in Iraq, because that's what they said. Weapons of mass destruction, Saddam Hussein's a bad guy, he's gonna come after us. You know, they made it seem like he has nuclear weapons. He didn't. And then they also implied in that was this idea where if he does have it, tick-tock, he's going to blow us up any second now. That was also made up. So it's false 2 layers deep. He didn't have the weapons, and even if he had the weapons, they didn't prove that he's immediately going to use them. Same thing with Iran. They don't have the weapons. They're not trying to get the weapons. And even if they had the weapon, their military budget is rinky-dink nothing. Israel's is gigantic. The U.S.'s is gigantic. They know that, hey, if we try to launch an attack against them, we're gone, we're gone, we're gone.